Jordan Peterson is a goat. Why you should be a monster. Why the hero needs to be a monster. Why? What does that entail for us? Should we be scared of that part of us? Or should we learn how understanding of a monster beast we can be, and then learn how to tame that beast from within? So you are both sides of that coin. So when you have survival protection instincts, when you need to overcome your emotional body, when you feel weak over a circumstance, that monster knows how strong and powerful it really is. This is spiritual evolution. And this is why I really want to listen to this. Let's see what Jordan Peterson has to have. Thank you so much for being here.
Part of spiritual development is to recognize the satanic tendencies that characterize you and to fully wrestle with them and to integrate them. That's the thing. It's not so much to cast them away. It's to transmute them. And you can see the difference between people who've done that and people who haven't, at least to some degree, because people who haven't integrated the shadow at all are naive. And you can tell that when you look at them, and you can tell that when you talk to them. And because they're naive, they're often resentful as well because they get taken advantage of. And someone who's integrated that more, they're dangerous in the martial arts sort of way, which is they're dangerous, but they don't have to use it because their presence radiates implicit potential for havoc. And that's really necessary. It's one of the things that gives people self-respect.
If you're harmless, you're not virtuous. You're just harmless. You're like a rabbit. A rabbit isn't virtuous. It just can't do anything except get eaten. It's not virtuous. If you're a monster and you don't act monstrously, then you're virtuous. But you all...
Do you see the difference here? When you are weak, you don't do something because you're scared to do it. But when people know what you're capable of, and you're not a weak person, and you're fully capable of doing harm, there's more self-respect. People respect you. There's more respect given to you. People respect you more. Bullies. There's so many bullies in society today that people are just they pick and they point and they stab metaphorically. And we've all had bullies in high school. And if you allow this bully to just bully around a little bit, he might shove you one time and you don't really take a stance against it. There's probably another time he's going to shove you. And all of a sudden he knows he can get away with this behavior. But someone who takes a firm stance, who initiates a reaction of firmness that you do not have permission, you do not have control, this is not okay, and he's going to say you're not an easy target. And listen, there's a lot of people out there who are not using their brains to serve themselves a quality life, a prosperous life. And there's a lot of people who have gone down the gutter, gone down that terrain, and have stuck there and have attracted other things to build a reality that is very painful. And these people are walking amongst us. And we need to not be naive to think that everyone has good intentions and really wants the best for you. Unfortunately, that's just not the case. The mind is a very slippery slope. And if people have not taken a conscious awareness to want to handle it and not let it be destructive to themselves, which if someone's destructive to themselves, they're going to be destructive to anyone that encounters them. So there's a lot of monsters out there. And I think that was where my naivete was shattered. Because there's things that happen that make you have to grow up, to make you realize that life is not this soft fairy tale journey. And things come into our lives. But I think that's what happens is, the journey, the beautiful journey of a boy becoming a man. A man that is not thrown off kilt, or not off kilter when something happens. He has a stoic quality, a spiritual stoic quality, that when things are presented in front of him, that where most people would react negatively or pessimistically, or they're overwhelmed and consumed, he doesn't. He doesn't. He reacts differently than most. When there's a gunman and everyone's freaking and hiding for cover, he may play fearful, but he's looking for an opportunity to take care of the situation, to resolve the situation, and he's calmer than anybody else in the room. This is why I believe there's a lot of fake bravado in man today, where the energy is an act. It's an act. They're trying to act like a lion. They're trying to act like an alpha. So they want to dominate every situation. But I feel like true masculinity and true masculine frame has no relevance to anything outside of yourself. It has relevance to, do you temper the storm within you? Do you have dominion over yourself? Do you have that masculine frame where you have your emotions in check? Or are you feminine? Are you a feminine, weak man who is scared of everything but acts tough on the exterior? And that's why you act tough, because you have to control everything, because you're afraid. You're scared. There's a lot of big, beefy looking men that are scared. They tattoo themselves up. They get big muscles. They act hard because they're threatened by life. But a lion knows it's a lion. It doesn't have to portray it's a lion. It doesn't have to tell everyone it's a lion. It doesn't have to showcase that it's a lion. You can look at a lion, no matter what it wears or does, it's a lion. It is not threatened. It's threatened by very little. And a lion will roar when it's required to protect his young, to protect his pack, to do what he needs to do. But it's rare in the sense that he's calm, he's poised, he's confident. There's a spark in him that doesn't need dominion and power over other people. His power is given to him freely through his community. He is the alpha. He is the lion. He is the leader of the pack. But he doesn't necessarily do that from making other people inferior. He does it through a sacred understanding that he's the best for the job. And he'll be challenged, right? Maybe there's another man who feels he could lead better. He'll be challenged and they will be put to the test. And that lion will come out and people will know, oh, wow, we doubted him because he's not so bravado-ish. It's okay to have style, a certain quality of energy to you that loves life, loves to be animated, loves to have different dynamical colors within you. That's expression. I'm not saying as a man you have to be expressionless and stoic. I think you need to not try to be a man, but just understand the difference between being in control of yourself over your emotional body, not doing things out here for show. Now that's a caveat. I mean, it's okay to have a little flair, a little style, a little juice. I think that's important because life would be very dull and boring and monotonous without that flair, that style, that juiciness. So many will present false bravado, but then there'll be others who they truly have a security within about their life and about themselves and what they're capable of. I think that's true, powerful masculinity. And guys, exercising this beast. If you're not getting out there and you're fighting other men, competing with other men, pushing yourself beyond your own comfort zones, you will never know the depth of how monstrous you can be. And let it out. Find those arenas where you can let it out comfortably, where there's an understanding that someone might get hurt, and that's okay. We need to establish, this is what makes you extremely powerful. It's one way that will really ignite this monster within you. And then when you can control it, when you can contain it, when you are above your biological processes, and you use it only as a last resort. Because deep down, you know what you're capable of, but deep down, you never want to hurt anybody. But like I said, we can't be naive and think everybody is a good, selfless person. And so we need to know that there's always threats out there in life because there's a lot of people suffering and hurting. All right, let's continue the video.
Also have to be a monster. Well, you see this all the time. Harry Potter's like that too. It's like he's flawed, he's hurt, he's got evil in him. He can talk to snakes, man. He breaks rules all the time. All the time. He's not obedient at all. But, he has a good reason for breaking the rules. And if he couldn't break the rules, him and his little clique of rule-breaking, troublemakers, if they didn't break the rules, they wouldn't attain the highest goal. So it's very peculiar, but it's a very, 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 very common mythological notion. The hero has to be a monster, but a controlled monster. Batman is like that, it's everywhere. It's the story you always hear. If you're going to be a fighter, you have to want to win, and you have to want to hurt people. Not for the sake of hurting them. That's what makes you different than an evil person. But you have to have that capacity. You have to develop that. And that's the step on the way to enlightenment, weirdly enough, because that isn't what people think. People have been fed this diet of pablum, rights and impulsive freedom for so long. There's just an absolute starvation for the other side of the story. There are no rights, technically speaking, without responsibilities. And all we've had for 60 years is a dialogue about rights. Well, that leaves a hole on the other side of the story. And it's a hole that's in people's hearts, essentially. Because responsibility, well, perhaps that's not more important than rights. Like I said, they're part and parcel of the same formula. But it's in responsibility that most people find the meaning that sustains them through life. It's not in happiness. It's not in impulsive pleasure. Those things blow away at the first ill wind. But to adopt the responsibility for your own well-being and to try to put your family together and to try to serve your community and to try to seek for eternal truths and to live them, that's the sort of thing that can ground you in your life enough so that you can withstand the difficulty of life.
We know why we love him. He's very poetic. He's very, very good for the spirit and the soul, and extremely articulate. He's helped so many young men and older men. And it's true. We have to have a responsibility to want to take care of our lives. An aim, a purpose. It doesn't have to be a career goal. Maybe aimlessness and meaninglessness is the number one thing that's starving us from living our life. And I think we must be responsible to have this aim and purpose. And I don't think it has to be a career like we're told. I think it can be an internal aim, an internal purpose. Like, no matter what the fuck happens to me, no matter if my mind wants to convince me of the garbage and I listen to it, I'm not going to let that rule me. The only chief aim and purpose I have is that I have today to make the best of it. I woke up today, and we die once. We live every day. They say you only live once. You live every day. Every day you get up from that pillow, be profoundly grateful that you have an opportunity to get out of your rut, the rut and the hell that you've made, and to let go of that narrative, let go of that story, and become sufficient in yourself again. Have pride in yourself again. Have an ease in yourself again. Have a rebellion of caring what anybody else thinks. Not being overcome by the need of that approval. Remember, most people they're not doing the work. Doesn't make us superior, but they're not doing the work. So most people aren't doing the work. So why would you care about someone who is not doing the work of their opinion about you? Do you think they're going to see as much as you see doing the work, trying to get ahead, knowing the process is murky, shaky, unstable? It's hard to create change. You're going to fail. You're going to fall on your face. But that's what every day is there for, is to raise your own level of freedom in yourself. Freedom from the noise out here. Freedom from the noise in here. And that your joy, your ease, your relaxation in the day is your number one priority, aim, purpose, and goal. And then from there, you do the hard stuff. You don't do the instant gratification stuff. You go to the gym, even though it's painful and there's no bone in your body that feels like it. You write the presentation because you want to create something. You study that art because you want to learn that skill. You practice and put in the repetitions, even though there's nothing in your body that says you want to. We have to overcome our feelings, and this is what a strong masculine frame is. That we have to stop being wusses to our emotions. Wusses if we feel like doing something or not. We need to get our asses whooped again, like old times, to show us what we're capable of. And this is one of those ass whoopings. Like, quit feeling sorry for yourself. If I allowed my kid to feel sorry for himself over and over again, he's going to stay in that forever. I have to kick his ass out of that. I have to show him that he's bigger than those emotions. And he doesn't have to let them grip lock him. This is what weak men do. We become femitized and we're all in our emotions. We have no shut-off system. We have no frame to be able to go like, no, that's feminine. And listen, weak men don't want to hear how feminine they are. Like, I grew up with expressing myself in all my emotions with my single parent mother. I was express. And there's nothing wrong with expression. There's nothing wrong with articulation. But if I'm always down in my feels, I'm always going to feel overwhelmed. We don't have to feel so deeply all the time. In fact, usually our homeostasis spot is like just above feeling low. It's just right there. There's not a lot of... If we're always relying on stimulus to change our chemistry, we can't do that. We have to learn how to elevate our chemistry. And a lot of it is you do it even though you don't feel like it, because that action creates more. It's like the sun. It creates this nuclear fusion where it's like, oh man, I had no energy to do this, but now I can totally do it. We have to dive in even though we don't feel like it. And because we live such comfortable lives today, there's really not a lot of incentive. We can get away with doing the absolute bare minimum in life and probably have a roof over our head. So we don't have a lot of incentive. When we're comfortable, when we have silk sheets, if you will, which, comfortable sheets today, a temperature controlled environment, maybe a car, you're doing okay. You're doing great. And so you don't have the motivation because you're comfortable. And that's why we got to do the hard stuff to remind ourselves that, man, we are one of the hardest working people on the planet. Do you want to be comfortable, which is fine? Or do you want to try to elevate to being one of the hardest working people on the planet? When I compare myself to that, to like say a David Goggins or an Elon Musk, people who really go out of their way to make something out of themselves. I think the brain needs puzzles, things that we can't get figured out, to focus on and obsess over, because if we're not focusing and obsessing on those things, the mind will love to go to the gutter. And most of it obsess on the gutter thinking. And I just don't want you to do that. I want you to take a firm stance in your life and go, my chief aim is I don't feel meaningless because I have a beautiful day today that I can make anything. I can create something. I can imagine something. The brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. I can not be bogged down by the narration of the garbage in my mind. I can actually overcome it today. I'm more aware today that that's just BS. Everyone has the BS going. It's the ego. It wants to protect and preserve life. It's for your survival. It's kind of intelligent in that way, but it is such an overthinker. Can you align yourself today to do really hard shit so that your future self will be rewarded? What we're doing right now is rewarding ourselves today and hurting the future version of ourselves. And I think it's meant to be the other way around. Listen, if I was 300 pounds and terribly out of shape, and I was just eating everything I wanted to because I was enjoying the moment, do you see how life actually shows us by laws and nature that that's actually destroying me? But if I sacrifice today, if I do the hard work by getting into the gym, I do the hard work by self-disciplining myself to not just eat everything that's in front of me, I'm rewarded handsomely through longevity, a better biochemistry, which should improve my mental state. And the beautiful thing about life is there's 8 billion people. If playing a sport or learning a martial art or creating a rocket was easy, you just pick it up and do it, it wouldn't be as beautiful. The fact that it takes considerable concentration and a hyper-focused approach to get incredibly good at something is awesome. And I hope that through these videos, you know that it has nothing to do with if you're able to. It has everything to do with, are you willing to hyper-focus and do the work required? That's the beautiful thing about life. It doesn't matter where you come from, who you are, your caste, your geographical location. If you want to become it, you can. Taste it, touch it, smell it, breathe it, make it so real in your mind that it manifests out here. Listen, I came from a very small town, Midwest community, 1,000 people. I grew up with government assistance, couldn't pay for food, couldn't pay for our basic overhead most of the time. Single parent mom, 3 kids. And I became the valedictorian of my high school, first team all-state athlete, dual sport collegiate athlete, and on and on and on. But as many successes I've had 10x the failures. And one thing that I wish I did have was a strong masculine father. Someone who taught me the things that I couldn't have learned otherwise. And I'm not saying I'm trying to be a dad. What I am saying is there's a lot of young men out there who don't have guidance, don't have support. And I just wish that we all had a strong father presence in our life to help us orient ourselves to become stronger men. And I don't have that. I didn't have that. And so I had to mature in my own way. And I think it took me a lot longer. Because I didn't have that. But I feel like I've come a long way. And that's why I want to be a father, because I want to help people have a great foundation to build a quality, vibrant life. And to live with somebody, to gently guide them, to steer them, to help them overcome their vices. And they're it's kind of like my puppy. all he wants to do is, bite people, and he's not going to be a good member of society if he's biting people every day. So I have to discipline him to tell him that's not right. That's not good. You're hurting people. And some people don't know that they're hurting themselves by the way they think about themselves. That's not good. You may have been doing it for a long time. It's not good for you. It's not good for your family. It's not good for your community. It's not good for your country. It's not good for the world. We're all one cell in this 8 billion celled human body. And there's a lot of cancer cells out there. People who are nasty within. And those people, whoever they get contact with, they're going to cause disease. And cancer cells create more cancer cells. But healthy cells also create more healthy cells. And I would like to think that this is a healthy cell station where you can look at your inner wounds and realize that they were never really a part of you anyway. It's all illusion and a story that you've attached yourself to that you believe is true until you carry it with you psychologically, which is like almost like a computer program that just went into your brain. But just remove the chip. Remove the garbage. And the simple way to do that, we saw from Ajara Prashant, is stop caring that the program's there. Stop caring that the memory happened, the experience happening, the trauma happening. Don't dislike it. Be indifferent to it. Like it's fine. Those things were there to help wake you up, to help you realize that, yeah, things can happen. And then if I build a story and a narrative around it, and I attach my identity to it, then I become miserable. But things can happen, and it doesn't matter. And it was that severe, but it didn't taint me. It didn't distort me. I didn't let it get down into my spirit, my soul, my body. So look at that. That thing happened, and I came out better, stronger, more alive, happier, more content, more vibrant. So whatever my ego is afraid of for tomorrow, I know it can't touch me ever again. And you can start walking through hell with a smile, because that's true freedom. I love you guys. Thank you so much for checking out this video today. And if you'd like to book a coaching call, feel free. The link is in the description. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and welcome to the community. I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.